Hello, and welcome to another episode of Everyday English, the podcast where we make learning English fun, real, and useful. I'm your host, Jamie. And in today's episode, we're diving into something that every English learner wants to master: common phrases and idioms. These are the expressions native speakers use all the time, in casual conversations, movies, and even in work settings. But they don't always mean what they say literally. So today, I'll explain some popular idioms and common phrases, tell you what they mean, and give you clear examples of how to use them in everyday conversation. So, let's get started. Let's begin with an idiom you've probably heard before. Break the ice. The idiom, break the ice, means to ease tension or awkwardness in a social situation, usually at the beginning of a conversation or event. It's often used when people meet for the first time or when a situation feels stiff and in need of a friendly or lighthearted moment to get things going. It originates from the idea of literally breaking the ice in frozen waters to allow ships to pass through smoothly, just like creating an opening for conversation and connection. Example: I didn't know anyone at the party, so I told a funny story to break the ice. This phrase is super useful when you're in a new class, at a networking event, or meeting someone for the first time. It's all about making things feel more comfortable. Hit the books. The idiom, hit the books, means to study hard or dedicate time to learning, usually in preparation for an exam or important academic work. It's often used when someone needs to focus on studying and avoid distractions. Example: exams are coming up next week. I really need to hit the books this weekend. It's a figurative way of saying that someone is seriously diving into studying, though thankfully, no books are actually being hit. Under the weather. The idiom under the weather means feeling sick or unwell, often due to illness, exhaustion, or general discomfort. People might use this phrase when they aren't feeling their best, but don't want to go into details. For example, I won't be coming to work today. I'm under the weather with a bad cold. She's been feeling under the weather lately, so she's taking it easy. It originally comes from maritime language, where sailors who felt sick due to rough sea conditions were sent below deck, literally under the weather. This is a polite and informal way to say that you're not feeling your best. Spill the beans. Spill the beans means to reveal a secret or disclose information that was meant to be kept private. It's often used when someone accidentally or unexpectedly shares details before they were supposed to. For example, he spilled the beans about the surprise party, so now it's not a secret anymore. She was trying to keep quiet, but she spilled the beans about the big announcement. The phrase likely comes from ancient voting practices where people placed beans in a jar, and spilling them would expose the results too early. So if someone says, "Oops, I spilled the beans," it means they told a secret that they weren't supposed to. Piece of cake. The idiom piece of cake means that something is very easy to do or requires little effort. People use it when they want to say that a task or challenge wasn't difficult at all. For example, that math test was a piece of cake. I finished it in 10 minutes. Don't worry about the presentation. It'll be a piece of cake for you. It likely comes from the idea that eating a piece of cake is simple and enjoyable, just like an effortless task. You can use this idiom to describe anything that's simple, quick, or requires little effort. Bite the bullet. The idiom, bite the bullet, means to endure a painful or difficult situation with courage and determination, often when there's no other choice but to face it head-on. For example, I hate public speaking, but I have to bite the bullet and give this presentation. She didn't want to pay the repair cost, but she had to bite the bullet and get her car fixed. The phrase comes from a time when soldiers were given a bullet to bite on during medical procedures without anesthesia, essentially forcing them to endure the pain. It means you finally face a tough situation with courage. Cost an arm and a leg. The idiom cost an arm and a leg means something is extremely expensive or requires a huge financial sacrifice. People use this phrase when they feel that a price is excessively high. For example, that luxury car is amazing, but it costs an arm and a leg. I wanted to buy concert tickets, but they cost an arm and a leg, way out of my budget. The origins of this idiom aren't entirely clear, but it likely comes from the idea that losing an arm and a leg would be a great personal sacrifice, just like paying an enormous price. You can use this when something costs way more than you expected. Burn the midnight oil. The idiom, burn the midnight oil, means to stay up late working or studying, often putting in extra effort to complete a task. It's used when someone is dedicating long hours, usually late into the night. For example, I have a big exam tomorrow, so I'm burning the midnight oil to prepare. She had a deadline approaching, so she burned the midnight oil to finish the project. The phrase comes from the old practice of using oil lamps for light before electricity, meaning someone working late had to literally burn oil to keep going. It comes from a time when people used oil lamps at night to work, long before electric lights. The ball is in your court. The idiom, the ball is in your court, means that it's now your turn to make a decision or take action. It's often used in situations where responsibility has been passed to someone, and they need to decide what happens next. For example, I've given you all the details. Now the ball is in your court to decide what to do. She apologized, so the ball is in his court whether he wants to forgive her. It comes from sports like tennis, where the ball literally moves to the opponent's side, signaling that it's their turn to respond. You'll hear this in business or relationships, when one person has to make the next move. Let's quickly review the phrases we covered today. Break the ice, start a conversation, and make people feel comfortable. Hit the books, start studying. Under the weather, feeling sick. Spill the beans, reveal a secret. Piece of cake, something easy. Bite the bullet, do something difficult. Cost an arm and a leg, very expensive. Burn the midnight oil, stay up late working. The ball is in your court. It's your turn to decide or act. Final tip. Learning idioms is like learning a new layer of the English language. You don't need to memorize them all at once. Try to learn one or two at a time. Use them in your own sentences, and you'll sound more natural in no time. You can even keep a little idiom diary. Write down new ones you hear in movies, podcasts, or conversations. The more you use them, the more confident you'll feel. That's it for today's episode of English. I hope you enjoyed learning these useful phrases and idioms. Try using one of them today. Maybe even post it on social media or share it with a friend. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe and like. And remember, you can always replay the episode to practice pronunciation and listening. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep practicing and keep speaking.